Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In this sequence of posts and videos, we will be going through my newly published book on Islamic economics. So let me begin with some introductory remarks. Why did I write this book? Well, because I felt that the mainstream writing on Islamic economics is too heavily influenced by Western thought, whereas Islam has its own unique and distinctive approach. Secondly, who is it addressed to? Well, this was written for a religion and development research project undertaken at University of Birmingham, and my paper was addressed to a secular audience. So I was trying to address a comparison between Islam and capitalism and explain why this is different from the standard economics. And finally, the central theme of this book is to bring out the unique features and strengths of Islamic approach to economics, especially in contrast with the Western capitalistic approach. So the preface to the book starts by noting that there is a huge literature on Islamic economics. So how should we select from these? So our selection is guided by a fundamental principle of Islamic epistemology that there is a distinction between useful and useless knowledge. The Prophet ﷺ prayed Allah Ta'ala for ilmun nafi', but also sought protection from ilmun la yanfa'. This is very different from the classification of knowledge in the West, which divides knowledge into secular and religious, or knowledge into facts versus values, or positive versus normative. Our religion does not make such distinctions. But our distinction is not made by the West. So we have to understand what is useful knowledge. Useful is always relative to a goal. And the goal of a Muslim is to be successful on the Day of Judgment. And this is achieved through ma'arifah, knowledge of God, leading to love of God and the fear of God, which guide our actions. And the highest of our actions is the service of God. So all knowledge that is relevant to these goals is useful knowledge. So how does this affect our study of Islamic economics? Well, basically, we should try to shape our economic affairs so as to bring us closer to God. And so Islamic economics is the attempt to shape the economic domain of our society in accordance with the moral framework of Islam. And basically, Islam commands us to create a moral economy, which is what modern economics was also when Adam Smith was teaching. He was a professor of moral philosophy, but this aspect, this dimension has been lost in modern treatments. So taking this approach leads to several puzzles. First of all, why do most Muslim economists, Islamic economists, not take this point of view? In fact, the typical view is that Islamic economics is just a modification of capitalist economics. So why is that so? And finally, if Islamic economics is grounded in Islamic teachings, then why did this discipline emerge in the 20th century? Why not much longer ago? So we just provide some brief answers in the preface, which we will expand upon in the book. And these answers have to do with the archaeology of knowledge, how knowledge has been developed and shaped over the centuries by the impact of historical experience. So religious wars in Europe for a century, led to the removal of Christianity as a domain, as a basis for public life. And this led to the creation of the social sciences, which will provide guidance on how we build society without Christian considerations. So economics emerged as a separate domain, and it was guided purely by pleasure and power considerations of this world, because Christianity has been removed from the picture. And then global colonization by the West resulted in the imposition of this set of values, this religion of economics, which had replaced the religion of Christianity, by the process of colonization, which is actually a conquest of minds. So Islamic economics emerged as a part of the freedom struggle when the two world wars in the 20th century sapped the power of Europe and led to the freedom of the colonies around the globe. In the Islamic lands, the call to freedom was issued together with the idea that we will replace the existing systems by an Islamic system, which would be Islamic in social, economic, political, and environmental fronts. So Islamic economics is a part of this move to try to achieve freedom from Western thought structures, Western institutions. But today, the structures of both the institutional structures, the banks and the marketplaces reflect Western influence, and similarly, Islamic economics also reflects the influence of Western thought. So the goal of this book is to liberate our minds, which would be the first step to creating a truly Islamic economy, which would be very different from a capitalist economy.